Hello everybody and welcome back to the Leeds Lens as we discuss Leeds United's win over West Ham. Wow. Apologies if I feel like I'm out of energy. I am out of energy. I've got to be totally honest with you. I mean, they put you through the ringer, Leeds United, don't they? They really, really put you through the ringer. And that second half, wow. The only thing I want to say is, because I think there's going to be a lot of criticism the second half and how we played. The main thing tonight was the result. As we all know, everyone on my show last weekend, midweek, when people talked about, yeah, but Scott, the chances don't mean anything. It's all about if you win or not. Performances are irrelevant. Well, if performances are irrelevant, then they've got to be irrelevant when you win. So that is something to bear in mind. I do think we will, further later down the line, we'll probably assess the performance and sort of where Leeds United to improve. Because I think the second half, and obviously I think if the goals had come later in the game, everyone would be talking about sort of how fantastic it was. But because we scored so early, we obviously then just sat on the lead. And I thought we did do that effectively in the second half. People won't like the second half performance, and I get that. I think the second half performance lacked intensity. I thought as soon as I saw this halftime substitution when Okafor came off for Harrison, I knew how the second half would go. But as I said, the main thing will always be the result. The result will dictate how people feel. The result will dictate how Leeds United play. Like, if we concede a goal right at the end there is people frustrated in this chat for sure, but and fuming. But we don't. We don't. And to be honest with you, I know people will say Leeds United were defensive in that second half. I know people in the outside Leeds space will go, that's too defensive. What chances in the second half did West Ham actually create? I will ask anyone. Do I say Leeds United created loads of chances themselves? No, Aronson hit the bar, and obviously we had a bit of a moment as well with Harrison, who had a decent strike at goal, straight at the keeper. But we didn't create much, but what did West Ham create in the second half? They didn't really create anything, did they, in the second half at all? And as I said, everybody has talked about Leeds United. We've played really well in games, and we're going to continue to play well in games. We'll play better than that this season and probably not win a game. But it wasn't. People also said it doesn't matter, Scott, about performance levels. And in the roundabout way, you're probably right. So if it doesn't matter about performance levels, then it doesn't matter when performance levels is when we win. But as I said, obviously, huge 3 points for Leeds United tonight. Coming off that Burnley game, we had to win tonight. The pressure was on. And I think that when you look at sort of why Leeds United played in the manner they did, I think part of it was caused by it was just so important that we won the game. So naturally, like, we're all nervous watching. Well, the players are nervous playing. They're human beings as well. And I think you've got to remember that sometimes. Sebastian says massive at 3 points. I completely agree with him, mate. Huge 3 points for Leeds United. But wow. Yeah, they don't have put us to the ringer, don't they? Anyway, I want to talk. I've got quite a bit to talk about because I want to start by going through sort of in a bit of a chronological order. I thought the first sort of, I thought we came out well actually in the first half to start with. We get that goal early, Aronson getting on the scenes. I thought, if I'm being totally honest, I thought it was woeful defending from West Ham. They don't press Bogle. The ball comes into the box. Okafor has a header pretty much unchallenged. Then the ball comes back and then we win the second ball on that as well. So poor defending from West Ham. Doesn't matter though. Does not matter at all. Glad to see us away from that bottom three. Exactly, mate. Exactly. Because now we've put huge ground on it. What are West Ham still on 4 points? Leeds United now sat on 11 points. And we're probably going to end the weekend now with something like, I think we're going to end the weekend probably something in around about 13th to 14th position, which is fantastic because we've moved that goalpost. And I actually don't think now the table doesn't look awful now, does it? Like we talked last week about a huge result for Leeds United last week and how negative it was and how that was a turning point in Leeds United season. I think the clock has just been turned again back tonight. I think now you look at it and go, 11 points in your first 9 games is a fantastic return. And I remember hearing a stat at the start of the year, I think BBC talked about it, and I think just Connor talked about it, and one Leeds potentially did as well, mentioned that if you get to 11 points in your first 10 games, I think every single team pretty much from that point has stayed up. Well, Leeds United have got 11 points from 9 games. Fantastic. Just fantastic. And as I said, if I don't come across as happy as I normally am when Leeds United have won a game, then I don't know how to explain it, because inside I am buzzing. I was nervous in the second half. I think we all were. I think the way Leeds United play makes you nervous. But as I said, not loads of chances. Not loads of chances. Only 3 points below Sunderland. Exactly. And Sunderland, who do they play Sunderland this weekend? They play Chelsea. So, and they're probably going to lose at Stamford Bridge, I would imagine. And they've got a really poor run. I think they play Everton after that as well. And they've got a hard run of games now, Sunderland. So they will start to drop points. I will always say this about the Sunderland situation. I don't really want to talk about Sunderland too much because it's a Leeds United reaction. But Sunderland have had really easy games. Leeds United have had harder games. So to only be 3 points potentially after this weekend behind them, it's not a bad return, people. It's not a bad return. But, as I said, I do want to talk about the game in more detail. And we were on about sort of how we started and sort of where it sort of started to change. Because I thought what happened was, I thought we came out really bright. I thought the way they lined up, and I'll get it up now so I can sort of explain this with I guess, images. But they sort of lined up in this is how they ended the game. But they sort of lined up when I get their, let me get their team up now. They lined up to start with sort of Scarles in the team, and Wilson wasn't playing, in this sort of back five. And what I saw happening in the first half until obviously Leeds United scored until Leeds United or until West Ham changed the game was I found a lot of the time to start with in the game they played obviously in this formation and they were basically just completely outnumbered in this midfield. Paquetá was too high and then basically Tanaka, Longstaff and Ampadu just bullied Souček and Irving and we had all possession and we obviously dominated from that and I think that was a fantastic move and an awful selection choice by Nuno. And then of course what happens? Scarles gets injured as you can see there. Wilson comes on the pitch and then what ends up happening is they end up going from a 2 in midfield to essentially a 3 in midfield and I thought the game changed there. It was on about the 24th minute I think he did the change and I thought the game completely flipped and I thought actually to be honest with you even in the first half I thought it was starting to get a bit more nervy. I thought we weren't having as much control in the game as we had done in earlier in the game. And I thought the momentum started to flip. But what I did see in the first half, which I didn't like, which is something we're going to have to change, I think, is what I ended up seeing is the ball going into Wilson a lot of the times, or Paquetá, and Biol just flying in here. And it left Bowen with this sort of acres of room and Wilson to get in these channels here. And it was causing us all sorts of issues. And I saw the same with Rodon. They were too aggressive, I thought, in the first half. And it led to the moment. In fact, it led to their nearly goal that Paquetá scores, because obviously he scores a goal in the first half that's off by a toe end, which obviously could have been different had that gone in. But that's what changed. And then the second half, I thought we saw the same. Although I thought there was a fundamental change in the second half. Obviously, Okafor came off the pitch. But what I ended up seeing with Leeds United is that aggressiveness that I talked about in the first half with Biol and Rodon didn't happen in the second half. They were much more reserved. Biol was not flying in on Paquetá there. Rodon was not flying in on Paquetá or Somerville here. He was sitting in, and obviously then we had Tanaka fully back. We had Longstaff fully back. We had Jack Harrison, let me go grab him, as well on this left-hand side fully back. I've put the wrong thing on. That's my match reaction. Let's get it back up. But yeah, we had obviously then we had everyone fully, basically then we had everybody fully back into this sort of 5 shape. I can't find him, I don't know why. And we're basically sort of sat in a sort of 4-5-1. And from there, this is where West Ham started to build in the game. But when I say this, and I mean it, even though West Ham had a lot of the ball, and I think you can look at it, and probably people in the ground will be really nervous about that second half performance, what I will say is, as I said, they didn't have a lot of chances. They had a lot of the ball in these areas. I thought Irving and Souček were getting on the ball. Paquetá was dictating more. Fernandes, when he came on the pitch, was getting on the ball in these areas. But they weren't getting any traction with it. We saw Wilson have a shot with from about this angle, reversed with the sort of the back of his foot into the far corner that he tried to do, but it didn't really work. But what we didn't see, as I said in the second half, which was causing us huge problems, is we didn't see Biol jumping. We didn't see Rodon jumping. And that was clearly a tactical change. And then obviously Gruev comes on the pitch to try to shore it up in the end. And that it worked out in the end and we got the game over the line. The question will be, though, and I think this will be raised, is that, and I think this is probably a conversation maybe for another time, is this going to be a way for Leeds United forward? Is this going to be something that Leeds United can implement going forward and sort of, and this can be a sustainable way of playing? And I think that's something worth a question mark. But I think right now we've got to cake in the win, bask in the win, love this win, because it was, as I said, a huge game for Leeds United. Tough run coming up. Glad we have got a bit of momentum going into it. Definitely won't hurt. Not an easy game in the Prem. And this is exactly right. Like everybody was talking last week about how easy Burnley was and how we were going to batter Burnley. And Burnley, you've got to take 3 points. It's different. Every game's hard. This is a team, by the way, Burnley team last week that we played, that we didn't beat either time in the Championship. And we were okay with that because we were beating everybody else. But they're the hardest games in the Championship are by far the easiest games in the Premier League. And that's how hard it is to win games in the Premier League, which is why, as I said, every win is masked. And obviously, we've talked about the start of the season. Leeds United, for me, needed 10 wins and 10 draws. Well, we've now got to that we've got to 3 wins already after the first 8 games, which is a good return, or after 9 games, I should say, which is a really, really good return. If Leeds United continue to do that, we'll stay up with ease. With this current path, I think with the current projection, with the way we're going, we'll finish on over 40 points, which will maintain at Leeds United's safety. Was glad to get BL out there as well. Yeah, I was. And I think something to mention is, I think in the first half, what I saw, a bit of it was that I wondered in the first half, when we were a bit more sort of higher, and we saw BL jumping in all the time, I thought a bit of it, and I was sort of considering saying this, but I am going to say it. I wondered actually if he'd made too many. I think he made potentially too many changes tonight. I think he made too many changes, and I didn't think that we fully had the cohesion of how to play with each other. But fundamentally, we had to get through that tonight. We had to get BL in the team, because fundamentally, long term, we're going to need BL playing in the games. We're going to need Tanaka going into midfield. But I didn't think I saw, like I looked at the Bournemouth game, and I looked at sort of the Spurs games and their first half performances, and obviously we weren't 2-0 up in them games at half time, so you could say where they were worse performances. But I actually saw a much more cohesive unit in them 2 games, if I'm being totally honest. I did see that. I saw much more understanding of where it was going to be. The patterns of play were much more crisp. But that is going to happen when you make so many changes into a game, which is why it's so important that we've managed to we've not just won tonight, we've managed to embed the likes of Perry into this team, the likes of BL, and these are the 2 main ones, because they're defensive players. And as Farke said, and he's completely right, you don't change your defence very often. So when you change it, it's naturally going to have a bit of time to come around and people to understand the jobs and when people should go in and press and when they should sit in the shape, when BL should come in the midfield and win it, or when it's going to be Tanaka's ball. And I think that is something that relationships like that will build up over time. So we've managed to get through by building relationships and still winning the game. So it was so important that we managed to do that, but so massive, because now we can go into the next game and I think we'll see BL get better and better. I don't think he was spectacular tonight, BL, and we'll get that in the player ratings, but I think we'll start to see a much more cohesive unit. Now we've got, for me, our best players on the pitch. And I don't think there's certain players I didn't think fantastic tonight. And as I said, we'll talk about it. But fundamentally, as I said, it's nice to now embed these new signings into the team. Because let's be honest, it's been a ropey time for BL and Perry. They haven't been in the team. Perry's been injured, come out, come in. And you don't want to replace your keeper all the time. But it's been nice that we've managed to get these players into this Leeds United team. That's been a really, really positive thing. And as I said, the longer we go on, the more cohesive we'll get. The only issue tonight, which I think is obviously that Goodmanson, unfortunately, did pick up a knock. So he will, I don't know how bad that will be. He's back. But that isn't fantastic, because I think he's a really, really creative unit. And the other thing I want to mention as well is, I do think when we took Okafor at half-time, I was worried. I thought there wasn't going to be the same synergy in the game. I thought we weren't going to impose the same attacking threat in the game, and I think we saw that. Okafor is so good at driving at centre-backs and getting shots in that goal. I mean, he had one in the first half, didn't he? Drew it at Tadibo and had a shot, and it sort of just narrowly went past the post, whereas Harrison just doesn't offer that attacking threat, and I think you saw that. And I think when you've got Okafor, naturally it will drive the team up the pitch, and naturally the West Ham players will naturally retreat, because they're scared of what Okafor can deliver. You don't have the same when it's just Harrison on the pitch. You really don't. Any win is a great win, but Farke's habit of just deciding in the second half of matches is going to cost us points. Of just deciding. Descending, should I say, not deciding. Just descending in the second half. Potentially. The only thing I will say, and I've said this a lot, is that what chances did West Ham in the second half? Yes, they had all the ball. I think they had over 70% possession in the second half. It was somewhere close to that. But what chances did they actually create? Because I checked the stats at full time and I was thinking, what chances did they create? I thought the Wilson one and the goal. And I checked the stats at full time. And in the second half, West Ham created a 0.3 XG. 0.3. So they weren't peppering our goal. Let's not have any let's have any qualms about it. They weren't peppering our goal at all. 3 points get in. Yeah, I completely agree. Fantastic. Anyway, should we get on to some player ratings? We'll start with Perry. I actually thought Perry, I don't know if you guys agree with this, I actually thought Perry's kicking was much better tonight. I thought it was much better. Even his ball striking, the way he struck the ball, looked much cleaner than I've seen from Perry in recent weeks. He came and claimed a few crosses. I don't think he could do anything with the goal. I don't think he was fantastic in moments. Like, I think there was a time, I think he parried one in the first half that was a bit shaky. And a few other slightly shaky moments. I think he dropped a cross in the second half that came in from the left-hand side from Juve, I believe. But I think he was, for someone that's just come back in the team, it's almost like a Premier League debut. He's been out that long and hasn't played enough, really. I'm going to give him a 7 tonight. I thought it was pretty good in the goal. Bogle, I don't think it was one of his better games, Bogle at right back, but defensively work was the important thing tonight. It was stopping the likes of Somerville getting on the ball and dictating the game, and I thought he won the battle against Somerville. I don't think Somerville did a lot in the game, and we know how good, and we've seen Somerville. The guy's such an effective footballer, and I don't think he did a lot tonight. So Bogle, for me, I'd probably give him a 7 as well. I think he was good. Rodon, I agreed. Sky actually gave him man of the match, and I was completely with that. I thought he was man of the match tonight. I thought he was Leeds United's best player. I thought he carried through Biol at times tonight. I thought he was the leader of the two at the back. I thought he obviously scored his goal, which he took really well. But I thought, as I said, 100%. He was the leader, and he amount of balls he headed out in the second half, by the way, because a lot of crosses went in. He was really good. Biol, I thought he was better in the second half. I think first half, he was just jumping far too much. Everything that we've said Pascal Struijk doesn't do, Biol does too far. They're complete opposite players. Pascal Struijk just drops and drops and drops. Biol just goes flying in on Paquetá so much, and it did cause us a few issues. As I said, they nearly scored in the first half for it. He was a fraction offside. So I think he was struggling in the first half personally. And I thought in the second half the game suited him more when we went into that sort of more defensive low block shape. I think that did suit Biol more. So I'd probably give him a 6. I think he was a 7 in the second half, probably a 5 in the first half, so it evens out to a 6. James Justin, when he came on, I thought was okay. I thought he did all right for someone who's naturally not left-footed and right-footed. I thought he did all right. I'll tell you what he is, by the way, James Justin. He's a really tidy dribbler. Really tidy on the ball. Really good close control. Really nice centre of gravity. Can move left and right. I thought his performance was okay. I know he's played left-back at Leicester. I think he nearly played there for a whole season. But I thought he was decent tonight, Justin. I thought he was all right. I'd probably give him a 7. Ampadu, I thought was better in the first half. I thought in the first half he was one of them on the ball, was quite tidy on the ball. I thought he played quite well on the ball. But then I think the second half, I didn't think he was as good. We've gotten a tendency in the midfield at times, and Longstaff I would accuse him of this as well, of just, when we're later on in games, pumping it long when we don't need to do it. We've got to find a way of being a bit more composed. Because let's be honest, for 30 minutes we were just so deep, it was untrue. And when we got the ball, it's all right being deep, but when you get the ball, you've got to have a threat in behind. And I don't think we posed that in the second half. And that, yeah, we can talk about that's because we had Jack Harrison on the left hand side and he didn't provide any attacking threat. But I think part of it as well is not just the fact that we had Jack Harrison on the left hand side. It's also the fact that when we get the ball in the midfield, we just belt it back to their goalkeeper, or belt it at centre halves. We've got to be more steady and composed on the ball for sure. All Leeds that way says, agree. I've not been 100% convinced by Perry, but tonight was an improvement. I thought so. I thought so. I really did. Yeah. So Ampadu, I'd probably even out to a 6. Probably I'll give him a 7 actually, because it got to be biased to the result at times. So I'd probably give him a 7. Longstaff, I don't think, for that, he's probably one of his worst performances at home, in my personal opinion. I don't think he was unbelievable. I thought tonight would really suit Longstaff. But actually, with the way they played, what ended up happening in the second half, I felt, was that rather than it being a really physical battle like I thought it might be, it wasn't. West Ham were getting on the ball and dictating play. And I don't think that was the game for Longstaff. I think Longstaff likes it when there's loads of duels, loads of sort of hard tackles, loads of sort of gritty duels in that. And I don't think that the game provided in the second half. And we know he's not unbelievable on the ball. He had a chance in the first half as well where he didn't shoot and he tries to release it out wide. It didn't quite work. So for me, Longstaff, not awful. Probably a standard 6 though. Tanaka, I thought in the first half was one of our best midfielders. In fact, I think he was our best midfielder in the first half. I like how composed he is on the ball. I like the fact that he can sort of jink either way, left and right, and sort of get on the ball and sort of dictate play a bit. I thought he was good at that in the first half. And I thought of all the players in the first half, when the game did get a bit spread and did get a bit open, I thought he was the one with a composed head playing his game. I thought in the second half he was quite loose at times though. I remember a pass out wide, I think it was to Justin, and he just belts it into touch. And I thought it was right to come off in the end for Gruev. And I thought Gruev was okay actually when he came on. So I'd probably give him a 7. Picking up points from now, from a now definite relegation rival as well tonight. Plenty of positives, 100%. Picking up points from a now definite relegation rival as well. Plenty of positives. Yeah, I completely agree. Jack Harrison, second half. It was a 6-1. He didn't really do much. Aronson, I thought it was his best game this season, actually. I did. I thought it was his best game this season. I thought he was one of them trying to get us to go forward in the second half, trying to pick up space, trying to get us moving through the channels. And he had a fantastic mazy run in the second half, was unlucky to hit the bar. I actually thought he probably should have slipped in Harrison, but he didn't. But I thought he was. I thought Aronson was good in that second half. And I thought he was good in the first, scored his goal. He'd probably... It wasn't a fantastic performance from a Premier League winger, but we judge Aronson on how good he is and how good Aronson can be. And Aronson's not the best player in the world. So for Aronson's level, it's an 8 out of 10 Aronson performance for me. Calvert-Lewin, again, he scraps up front. We don't give him any service, do we? He hasn't missed a chance tonight. He hasn't scored a goal, though. But his hold-up play is good, and he links the play, and he tries to get stuff going, and he wins fouls for us. But he just don't get any service at all. We've got to try find a way of giving him more service. But yeah, I think Calvert-Lewin probably gets... I'd probably give him a 6 tonight. On the bench, obviously, it's, let's have a look. Oh, Okafor came off. We'll talk a bit about Okafor. I thought Okafor was good in the first half. The only issue with Okafor, and this is why I think he brought him off, is he does have a tendency to give the ball away. He's almost got that Ramazani in as Okafor, where he does try to do things, and he tries, and he does try, and he does try to make stuff happen. And when you try and make stuff happen, we've seen this with Ramazani, you are going to give the ball away more. And I thought that's why he brought him off. But I thought Okafor in the first half was probably a 6. I think it was probably average. Aronson clearly responding to your critics, Scott. Exactly. No, I hope he is. I would love Aronson. He's welcome on the Leeds Lens as much as we criticise him on this channel. I never think we go personal. I think we've got people in our fan base that call him effing this and effing that. We never do that in this. It's just constructive criticism where we think Aronson can improve. Maybe doesn't spend as much time on the ball, etc. That's always been the play. We don't need to call him maybe American this and that. And I don't think a lot of people do, but there is a few. Yeah, so that is... And then Gruev obviously played a while. I thought Gruev did okay. Again, probably a 6. Not loads. And then, of course, Daniel Farke. There he is on the touchline saying hello. He's won against West Ham, and he's won a Premier League game, so he's going to have to get a decent score. I know the likes of, I think, PSF and Easy, when I know their opinions on these sort of, on Farke, and I think the managers who have Daniel Farke out will continue to be Farke out. They won't change from this performance because of what we saw in the second half, probably, and the way we play, because I know when I listened to Daniel Farke outers, what they want to do is naturally they want Leeds United to be a more aggressive team, and they want Leeds United to get on the ball more. They don't want Leeds United to play the way they did in the second half. So they will be critical, and I don't think he'll have won back loads of fans tonight, if I'm being totally honest, because of the way we played. But it doesn't matter, we got the 3 points, as I said. But Daniel Farke probably gets, for me, probably gets a 7. We've won the game. Big up the channel, thank you very much. So yeah, I think Daniel was be all a beast. Ooh, it depends what you class as a beast. Yes, he wins a lot of headers, and I think in the second half he won loads of headers. But it depends what I guess what he classes as a beast. But yeah, he did all right tonight. He did all right tonight. I don't think we've seen. I think we'll see a better Be-All when that continuity builds up. I really, really do. I think he'll be much better. Completely agree and love this channel. Thank you very much, mate. I do appreciate the feedback. I really do. Anyway, shall we let you all go and enjoy the rest of your weekends? Because the best thing, by the way, and this is a huge thing, innit? Winning on a Friday. If you are ever going to win a football game, a Friday with the weekend coming up, and you can just sit and watch the football tomorrow, sit and watch the football on Sunday, not worry about anything, is the best possible thing. So if you could smash a like on the video, I think everyone that's watching has liked already, so I don't think you can double like. I think there is a hype button somewhere. I don't know if you can find it, but if you can hype the channel, that will be fantastic. It's this new thing. I think it's meant to help. So if you could do that, that'd be fantastic. But as I said, thanks all for watching. I'll go back onto my main screen to the actual as well. Thanks all for watching. Get enjoying the win. Get on the beers if you do like that. If not, have a tea. Have whatever you want. But thanks all for watching. And thank you, Leeds United, for, yes, you made it shaky. Yes, you conceded the 90th minute, but I desperately didn't want you to. But we got 3 points.